Call the workshop to order.
So the first item that's on the agenda is another cleanup in aisle 2 in regards to the Luther Memorial Home doing business as Living Meadows. And I was here, Jane, I remember her doing this, and I don't know, I know the council approved the address change, but somehow it did not get changed to the county. So if you go on Beacon, you cannot search Living Meadows by 503 Bensville Avenue. You can only search it by the 221 6th Street Southwest. So tonight on the agenda, just reiteration of the approving of 503 Bensville Avenue. This is important because obviously they're doing all their financials and everything for the upcoming project of the assistant living that they're going to be building. So we just want to make sure everything is correct in regards to addresses and how. Any questions on that? So that is on your agenda. The next is Chief Cherney, who is present, and he is going to be asking for approval of hiring 4 new firefighters. So I'll give the floor to John right now.
Yeah. So we had 3 retirements last year. I've got another 3 coming this year. 2 of them have given me their word they'll stay on through this round's class. So that's up to late April, May. And once this class is through, they will also resign. So that pushes me down to 27, 24, and I'll push me back up to 31. And by the middle of next year, we'll be back down to that 28, 29 mark, depending on anybody else that is interested in getting off. I've talked to a handful of them and nobody's expressed interest other than the 2, but who's to say that's not to change as life moves forward.
Any questions from the council in that regard? This is also on the agenda tonight to approve the 4 that are listed. Okay. Then we'll go into number 3. Public hearing needs to be scheduled for July 28th at 6 p.m. for repealing the moratorium ordinance 115 and approve and replace with ordinance 115 the cannabis. The only thing that we need to discuss is just to make sure council will need to confirm the retail registration limits. So I don't know if it's because there's just so many other communities doing it right now. Were we doing unlimited, or are we just going to do a couple? I don't remember and trying to recall on everything.
I think we're just going to leave it open and weed through the applications.
No pun intended.
Go through the applications.
And the ordinance I wrote has it based on unlimited, so you can see some of the sections are crossed out. Section 2.3.3 shall not be approved for cannabis retail businesses exceed the maximum number of registered cannabis retail businesses, so that's pulled out because we don't have open listed. The other piece that really we didn't talk a lot about is that temporary cannabis event. So this is like similar to like a beer garden, but with cannabis. And so I added in some restrictions saying they would only be held between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m., as well as they couldn't be held within 200 feet of a school, daycare, or residential treatment facility. I looked at other ordinances to put those in place. If you want to remove those or change those, feel free. But that's something we haven't talked about beforehand.
Without the events?
Yes, for events, yeah.
Are we adding a park?
Park is not listed in there. I put 200 feet of a school, daycare, or residential treatment. So there's buffers for a retail business, but not for an event.
Patrick, does that matter if really, obviously sales are within a park is an enhancer, does the use of it in a park, does that do anything for the statute there at all?
As far as this ordinance is concerned?
Yeah, stuff like that for use down in the park.
Well, I mean, the limitation that's been provided as far as an event is similar to the park's limitations, but, I mean, you could try to put a no smoking provision in the park, I suppose. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that would limit that at this point, any different than smoking a cigarette at this point.
Be careful with that one,
With what?
with limiting certain things, just because, not to say that I want everybody to smoke it wherever, but I'm just gonna say that if you impose something like this, we have the ability with enforcement to take care of it. And let's just make it fun this weekend.
Well, I think there's two parts to that though. Using it is one thing, allowing an event is something else.
Yes, that's two different things.
So, yeah, I'm with you on the using part of it. I think that becomes an issue to enforce. That would be a deeper conversation. The event part of it, I wondered about last week, and I still wonder about, because you can't have a retail business within, I think it's 200 feet of a park if it is frequented by minors or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing here. Do we want to do the same thing with this ordinance, or do we just simply mirror what we have for the alcohol ordinance? Because we allow alcohol events down there. I'm at this point, not arguing either way, but I think we need to at least think about it.
So the way I wrote it right now, it would allow it in the playground, or in the park. Section 7 does specify no person shall use it, any of these products, in a public place or a place of public accommodation unless the premises is an establishment or an event licensed to permit on-site consumption. So that gets to the point of, that is what the state requires, that is not something I put in necessarily. So there are restrictions against using it in a public place if it's not been licensed for an event or as an establishment.
Do we have to make any changes to the zoning ordinance?
This would go, my understanding is this goes above and beyond the zoning ordinance. So yeah, if I get somebody who calls in and says, hey, I want to start a cannabis business, I would go to the zoning ordinance and go to this ordinance.
Yeah, this restricts where you can set up that business. It has further restrictions beyond just what the zoning ordinance says.
Well, all this is doing is setting up the public hearing. This isn't finalizing the verbiage, or do we need to finalize the verbiage tonight?
This is the verbiage I would use right now for the public hearing.
If that's the case, unless there's serious objections, I suggest we add a part to the event. Have the event verbiage match the business verbiage.
For Benton?
Yes.
Benton, okay.
What you're saying not to have
Not to have a cannabis event in the
in the
park.
park?
Does the state statute say we have to allow an event or have to have any type of event? I don't know, there's many other places to have an event. Would be my only concern, if it were something, so.
It doesn't say you have to have one. I'm sure that I don't know, I'd speak to Patrick.
Doesn't the statute say you're supposed to consume on your private property, or did I misread that?
No, it does. You can't consume it, and correct me the verbiage on that sentence. You can't have it in a public area unless you have an event permit. And maybe it's no big deal, maybe it's a nothing burger. It's just, I don't know, it's just so new, it seems odd to me.
I mean, my thought is do like what you're saying, and then if there's a big overwhelming
Need for it.
need for it, then maybe revisit it at a point in time, but
So let's go back. The permits have to be approved by the council, is that correct?
Yes.
So we get out and just say no.
They're gonna bring it to you for approval.
All approval for events and.
Yeah, the same as all
That's
that,
right, to council.
a beer garden or anything that, while sanity is done in a public place.
I just feel like if we leave it open, that we allow it all of a sudden, if we constantly are denying them, we may see ourselves.
Well, you open yourself up to suit probably if you just do a blanket denial. If you exclude the public park as a place, I'm not really certain from a geographical standpoint, right? They could have a public setting in light of all of the other restrictions that exist within the ordinance. So then in effect, by doing that, are you not just saying no without saying no? So that's I think, serious hesitancy of putting it in there. And my kind of sitting here going, I mean, do what you want, but I mean, because of already those significant distances in a small town like that we have, that where it's restricted, where you can have a business, let alone a public event, I would suggest that park would be the only place that's far enough away that you can have an event.
Well, but at the same time,
And there's
You
not
can't have
places that actually have.
I was just gonna say, you can't technically have sales in a park, right? So you couldn't have a weed garden or like a beer garden.
All right, now, I mean, you're asking all kinds of different questions there, but I mean, like, you couldn't have a weed garden in the middle of the public park any more than you could be growing,
No, I'm saying like how a beer garden, you go and buy beer and you have it fenced off, you couldn't really have a sales of cannabis in that area then, could you?
conceivably should. I think you're thinking of everybody just sitting around smoking a joint. THC comes in various forms, like
Well, yeah.
like beverages that have certain milligram dosages pursuant to statute, as well as edibles that have certain milligram pursuant to statutes. The short answer is yes, you could. I mean, it doesn't have to be somebody, smoking a pipe in the middle of.
No, I'm saying all encompassing.
But that would limit us to, let's say, the liquor store gets this particular license, and they wouldn't be able to sell it
In the
clubhouse or in Farmington, right? Correct.
Yeah.
If that were an option, if the liquor store goes down that road to provide.
So, I mean, yeah, there's certain establishments right now that exist here in town that could conceivably sell THC pursuant to statute. So. I think Casey's and BP could be, if they chose. I know that Casey's hasn't gone that route, but Holiday has in certain locations in certain places. So, liquor stores are another place that can apply and be able to sell certain amount levels of milligrams of items, and many of those items are not what is technically called flour or baking. It's mainly just things that are consumed. But as far as the park is concerned, you put the language in. I just don't know how enforceable it would be to just at 86 the park for a public event.
I think we should probably just leave the park in and take it on a case-by-case basis.
I think that would be possible. Because, I mean, if someone comes here and the concern for some event like that would be what I'm suggesting, which is just people running around smoking joints, and the, pungent odor of marijuana wafting through the city, you could limit what they could have as consumption. Not unlike how you could limit or control what, a vendor has for alcohol. So, there are those other restrictions that you could come up with to narrowly tailor an event that should come to pass at some point in the future.
Anything else that we need to address in that ordinance? I would strongly encourage everybody to read through it and be prepared for the public hearing. It will be on the agenda after the public hearing if we are going to proceed with it or not. That really all depends on what we get from the public hearing. But yeah.
Public hearing could be the high point of the night.
Between the weed garden and whatever.
Weed through this problem? Okay.
Number 5.
And number 4, pay request number 2 from GM Contracting in the amount of $606,242.09 is on the agenda tonight. Like we were kind of talking prior to the workshop, the rain is set aside a little bit, but we're gonna keep on plugging away. They're on 4th Street, they're working on 4th Street and around that area. And like I was talking about the 3 different meetings that'll be coming up with the different business owners to kind of get them prepared in regards to deliveries and different things. It's not happening tomorrow, but we definitely want to start the meetings so that they can get prepared as to what is to come. So, any other questions on the project?
Did Adam have a cutoff for when he was going to allow him to dig in the center or in the main?
I don't think that we have, I mean, I can definitely put it on the notes for this Thursday's meeting and I can get back to you in regards to some,
Well,
what you thinking?
just thinking it's going to get to, I mean, depending on how the rest of the summer goes, it's going to get to a point where it's going to get pretty nip and tuck and pouring concrete in October, November. They really, I mean, they've been, I've seen them pour concrete and snow before, is what I'm saying.
That particular contractor or?
Yeah, those guys, yeah, I've seen
Okay,
them.
I got it. I'll put it on the notes for Thursday.
So in particular, progress report, they might want to consider what they can and can't get done, or all those things.
And we talked about that every Thursday. So every Thursday at 9 o'clock, we have a contractors meeting, and we sit and we go through the schedule, we talk about what's gonna come for this week. Celia sits in on it, so does Michelle, so she's posting on the newsletters and stuff like that.
I think it's an important part too, that, I was under the understanding that Center North is being addressed next year, and if there are things that need to be lined up for residential, commercial, or anything along that route, those things are gonna have to be addressed very
Yes.
quickly.
So you guys would be the ones that would be sitting in that 3rd meeting. So, like for instance, Matt, you own that property, so you will then discuss it and understand what's actually going to happen. I'm not saying anything that's happening until we all sit down in the meeting and they tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that window isn't very small, because there potentially could be.
Like tomorrow, like they're going to dig, no.
Well, I mean, things take weeks to line up accordingly to get certain things done and done right, so I just want to make sure we're giving everybody that's going to be impacted
Enough time. Okay.
Well, from a snow removal standpoint, that is probably the most complicated area to remove snow. You definitely aren't going to want to gravel.
No, I know.
It's going to be better off as it is now. With gravel, if they,
Are they very much behind you, is that?
They're not that behind. I mean, it's just that,
they're not that behind.
I'm not seeing anything right now. That's why I'm instructing everybody that there's a 9 o'clock Thursday morning
I
meeting.
apologize for even asking a question about something I am completely ignorant of. Continue.
Well, it depends on who they're asking. They'll probably tell you they're not that behind.
Okay,
Well, let's get through.
please attend our 9 o'clock meetings. I could just speak, or on speaker if you'd like.
I've got a job, though.
Well, say that
What
you're
days are they?
talking to your family, I'll just put it out there. Thursday at 9.
So they do.
Okay. All right, number 5, stormwater climate resilience plan is completed, and I believe this is going to the commissioners also, Jim.
That is.
A year ago, the county applied for a grant to implement this plan for potential future funding on the Joy Avenue project. Over the winter, the city and the county hosted community sessions to discuss the flooding and brainstorm on solutions to reduce the flooding within the northwestern corner of the city. the county, I just said that, the county will be approving this plan also. So we're approving it along with the county so we can pursue, ways to do Joy Avenue, put in a bigger storm line, ponding, different things. But we need this plan, to help us over funding for it. And it was attached to your email in regards because it's huge. I know I saw Mark there at some, who else attended some of those community sessions. You were at a couple? All right, no questions on that? Okay. Number 6, I need the council aware of a couple different things. So last year the council approved certifying assessments, which included the church parking lot, Kimes demo, Travis Geyer's demo. These assessments were received by the county but did not get on the taxes for payment this year. To keep these people online in regards to their amortization schedule, I have contacted these individuals and they will make payments this year, but they will be certified and be on their taxes next year.
What about the
citations and everything like that, the only thing that I can do is when they sell property through an attorney and they do a title search and everything, they request a certificate of assessment. And with a certificate of assessment, then we would go through everything that we have in-house, any delinquent water bills, anything that is pending against the property. That would be a way for us to capture some of that. If the property doesn't sell, then we would apply it next year to their property.
Did one of the counties say, Chris, why that didn't get on? Was it too late or did someone drop the ball?
Someone dropped the ball.
Okay.
You can talk to Kelly. But I have to inform the council in that regard.
What's going on? It's just not right.
It so happened that I was driving down Main Street and I went past the church and I'm like, boy, that's just a beautiful parking lot. And I don't know what hit me, but I came back and I looked and I'm like, there's nothing on their tax statement because the church obviously doesn't pay taxes. And so obviously it was just a recycling amount. So that's when I called over to the county. They did receive the email, but they did not follow all of the steps. So like I said, I have made arrangements with the church and Kimes and Travis to make payments during this year so they don't get behind. And we'll try to do our best in regards to the certificate of assessments when properties are sold. The only time that we would not touch it is if the property is sold without a title search or just cash and it's done and they don't do that or they don't do the search, so then there's nothing asked of us.
But on the property sales, aren't the assessments tied directly to the parcel number?
They should be, but if they're not inputted in,
Or are you saying that for this year?
this year they're not in.
But as long as everything's current going into next year, as long as they're assessed.
They will
then
be
it should
assessed.
follow through.
Everything was sent to the county, everything was done, it just something happened in regards to them actually applying them to each parcel number.
Sure.
So, that's all that I have on my agenda right now. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to discuss? Park days, went very, very well. I've heard a lot of compliments in regards to the all-school reunion and how everybody pulled everybody together, everybody had a great time. Fireworks, obviously we made that decision to put them on Saturday night instead of Friday due to the rain. I've actually heard a lot of compliments in regards to moving them to Saturday forever.
I heard that as well.
So I guess I would, if you see the chamber board or anybody, I would suggest that. had to do a different area on the golf course for the shoots. I didn't hear any problems in regards to that area, and the reason that area was picked is in regards to the fabric building and having shovels drop on the fabric building.
Was there enough help on Sunday morning, you know?
I think we had enough, yep.
Yeah.
People I wasn't expecting. It wasn't the, kids or anything. It was actually adults in the community.
You got a motion to adjourn the workshop if there's nothing else?
Make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.